In today's video, we're going to be talking about magic items for the Barbarian. So let's get started. Welcome to the Blue Dragon Guild. I'm Baron.
I'm Chris.
We are a channel all about Dungeons and Dragons, covering advice for players, tips for DMs, and a few class builds here and there. So if you want to see that kind of content pop up on your YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. So as I said in the beginning of the video, we're talking about magic items for the Barbarian. We've got 5 here. These are just some of our favorite ones that we've seen used in games and that we think are pretty good and maybe a little unexpected for the Barbarian. First off, the first item I have is the Gloves of Missile Snaring. Barbarians, as a class as a whole, get a lot of damage reduction, a lot of things like that, resistances, and I thought this would be a fun little thing just to increase that even more. I mean, a lot of times you think about barbarians, they're not going to die on the battlefield. So this item, when a ranged weapon attack hits you, you can use a reaction to reduce the damage by 1d10 plus your dex. As a barbarian, you've got a little higher dex just because you're getting that unarmored defense there. If that damage is reduced to 0, you can catch the projectile, provided that it's small enough. So I think it'd just be great, you know, I mean, like you get a spear chucked at you, you catch it, and then you throw it right back.
Throw it right back. Yep.
Yeah.
That is an interesting one that I did not expect you to pick, actually.
I went through the magic item list and I was like, kind of like, all of these are like stereotypical barbarian things. I'm like, I kind of want to think outside the box a little bit on this one. And I think I did pretty well with it.
Interesting. So, my first pick that I like, and I've used it in games, and I know some of our other members have used it in games, is the Periapt of Wound Closure. Now, this is a necklace, and it's extremely useful, and it's only an uncommon item. So, the way it works is, while you're wearing it, if you are dying at the beginning of your turn, you instantly stabilize. No medicine checks, no healing, no nothing. You just don't have to roll the death save. But it also has a secondary effect that during your rest, when you're going to re-roll any die to regain HP, you double that HP that you gain.
That's pretty good.
So that's super cool on its own. But most importantly, you don't have to worry about your teammates giving up their turn to come stabilize you. You're hopefully not going to die because of this, because you can't bleed out unless something horrible happens to you, of course. And it's an uncommon item, so it's not very expensive. And it does require attunement, of course, because that is a drawback maybe, but I don't know why you wouldn't instantly just want this constantly attuned all the time.
Yeah, this is...
Because for a barbarian, like you said in the beginning, they're probably not going to die super easy, but that doesn't mean they can't.
Oh, yeah.
They get a little less armor, and something bad happens, breath weapon, trap, your DM's terrible, whatever, you can go down really quick and start to die, and this saves you from that. So definitely a cool investment for the Barbarian.
The next item on my list is the Horn of Blasting. Whenever I was looking through, I was thinking, well, I could pick the Horn of Valhalla. That's a stereotypical barbarian item. So I was like, I kind of don't want to put that on my list, even though it's an excellent item, don't get me wrong. But, you know, seeing the barbarian with his horn, you know, he blows the, the warning call that there's enemies coming. To me, that's kind of iconic in my mind. But with the Horn of Blasting, it's definitely something that your enemies are not going to expect. It's an action to speak the command word and blow the horn. It emits a thunderous blast in a 30-foot cone. Each creature in the cone must make a DC 15 con saving throw or take 5d6 thunder damage, half on a success. And creatures are also deafened for 1 minute. Also, creatures and objects made of glass or crystal have disadvantage on that save and take 10d6 thunder instead. The horn does have a pretty scary drawback. It has a 20% chance to explode and deal 10d6 fire damage to the blower of the horn. So that's definitely, a pretty dangerous drawback, but it's a 20% chance, which, isn't impossible, but it's still fairly low. And I mean, you just imagine the barbarian just running up. Oh yeah, take this. Brrr, just blast a huge thunderous cone of sound at everybody, and it just resonated in my mind just when I was reading through it. I was like, yeah, barbarians need that. Um, Mackenzie and I, when we did the Wild Mount video for like the classes and subclasses, which you can find a link to that right up there. In that, there was a effect that one of the wizards could put a spell down into a little bead and give it to anybody. And I was like, well, you give the barbarian fireball, they're not going to expect the fireball to come from them. And that's kind of like the thought process I thought with the Horn of Blasting.
That's really interesting. Again, another choice I didn't think you would do, and I wouldn't have picked that. That's pretty awesome. I wouldn't even thought about that. So my other thing that I picked is another uncommon item, and this time it's a weapon, and that's a weapon of warning. Now, I really like this for a few reasons. The first of most is you can put this on any weapon. So anything can be a weapon of warning. Swords, axes, maces, whatever, as opposed to most magic items are specific. Granted, that's DM. DMs can change that, but as it's printed, any weapon. Again, it requires attunement, but you get 3 slots,
Yeah.
so this one is a magic weapon, and it warns you of danger. So while it's on your person, so you don't even have to be holding it, just if it's in your possession, on your person, you have advantage on initiative rolls. That's already awesome for Barbarian, because you definitely want them probably going first. In addition to that, you and any of your companions within 30 feet of you cannot be surprised, except when incapacitated by something other than non-magical sleep. So, stopping right there, they can't be surprised. So no surprise rounds exist because you have this on your person. That's super awesome. So you're always, you guys are potentially always going to act first. You're going to get to do something within reason, of course. But that's great because there's another, it's almost like a debuff to the enemy.
Yeah.
Into your DM that they can't get you like that. Plus your bonus on initiative rolls. And on top of all of that, the weapon will magically awaken you and your companions within that range if any of you are sleeping during a rest when combat begins. So once again, you're not going to get surprised in the night unless it's magical. It just instantly wakes you up and you're ready to go and roll initiative with your bonus again, and that doesn't wear off. There's no charges. It's just a static effect. And I think that's super, super cool for such a cheap weapon that can be on anything. I mean, barbarians are going to start with a weapon, so you could get it enchanted potentially. You can do whatever your game allows. This is a super good investment. This, with the Periapt, for basically the price of a rare item almost.
Yeah.
You get 2, so I just think that's a really good thing for them to have. If you're not going to have both, at least get the weapon. That's super good effect. 3 effects for 1.
Yeah, that's really good. I think Dave had a weapon of warning with Orsk in that game.
I think I have one too in Dave's game. He gave it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, they are.
And it never really comes up, but when it does, it's awesome.
You want it, yeah.
You want it.
The next item I have is one that you don't normally associate barbarians needing or wanting to get, but I really thought that this kind of put a fun little edge on the Barbarian, and that is an Ion Stone, the one of Absorption. As a reaction, you can cancel spells of 4th level or lower. They must be able to see the caster and actually be the one targeted. Once 20 levels of spells have been absorbed, the stone becomes useless. With all that resistance that they get, just being able to simply cancel a lower level spell at a glance, that's ridiculous. There are 2 absorption ion stones. There's the greater one that has the legendary tag. I just went with the regular absorption one. I think it's just a rare, very rare. But just that alone just brings up a whole nother edge to the Barbarian that normally they wouldn't be able to get. And going back to that, it would be unexpected for the enemy. I think it'd just be great.
Oh wow. So far with all 3 items, essentially, or at least 3 of the items, like you said, you're already getting damage reduction.
Yeah.
Now you can't be surprised. Now you're not going to bleed out. Now you're going to absorb spells. That is insane.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why, they put the attunement limit in there at 3.
Oh, right.
So, obviously, you'd be super overpowered, if that were waived. So, it's a fun combo. Any of these items that we've mentioned today would just be really fun for the Barbarian. I mean, some of them, they'd be great for other classes too, but when we're thinking of the Barbarian, we think of that big tank out there on the field that can take a whole ton of damage, and this just allows them to take a little more. Now, as we said, there are some iconic magic items that kind of go with the Barbarian. Like I said, the Horn of Valhalla. Chris, what were some other ones that you kind of thought of but ultimately didn't put on your list?
Some of the helms, and there's like helm of like comprehend languages. I know that's kind of weird, but like barbarians typically don't get a lot of armor, so I wanted to get something that seemed kind of like that, but it still looked like a barbarian. And there's also, I thought about like a gem of brightness, like little things you could kind of put on yourself, and then shields, because barbarians get a shield if that's the style you want. And there's like the sentinel shield, there's like different things. Some of them float out in front of you, some of them help like catch things, which is bad because it's cursed.
Yeah.
Just little things like that. I thought javelin of lightning, that kind of thing, like little that weren't just weapons and armor, since I usually don't get armor. I wanted something just that looked classic and like fighter, barbarian, very high fantasy look, but gave you a little something different.
Yeah.
Once you read into it. And then there's potions and things like that you can get, belts and such. But those were just some of on at the beginning, and then I kind of wanted to go a little deeper and be a little different with things. So there's a lot in here that could work for it.
Yeah. Which, I mean, a lot of the stuff that we put on our list today absolutely can go for any class. I mean, like, if you wanted to use these for a fighter, absolutely. If you're thinking about playing a fighter, check out our video. So You Want to Be a Fighter? Link down in the description below.
So if you've enjoyed this video about our magic items for Barbarian, you may also like our video magic items for Cleric. So if you're thinking about doing a Cleric, which you should, they're a fantastic class.
Yes.
You should definitely check out that video. It's very helpful, and it might inspire you to maybe take some of the items we've mentioned and put it into that class, or vice versa. Yep. So definitely check that out.
Link up above. So this has been our look at magic items for barbarians. If you want to see more D&D content from us, hit the subscribe button and ring the little bell so you always get the notifications when we upload a new video. And we upload a new video every Friday. And until next time, keep the dice rolling.
I'm going to give Barbarians Black Razor.